Hi, welcome to the table. My name's Steve Raine.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And I'm Mark Windle.
And tonight we're talking about our top 5 real-time games. So real-time, we didn't actually discuss how we were going to classify this. I guess it's just any game where you're playing against a clock or playing simultaneously.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the whole game, but there's some kind of real-time element to it. So there's at least one section of the game where, the clock is ticking, and when it runs out, that's the end of that section.
See, I made sure there's so many games that do that. I tried to make the real time is intrinsically one of the most important parts of it.
Yeah.
Because, I can think of lots of games that have a small section of real time and then something else or sat around it. But I want this to be about real time games.
How hard a list was this for you to make then?
I found it really hard, actually.
I found it much easier than I expected first getting into it.
I found it hard in a way that I had far too many games. So I've actually put my reason for putting these on the list is it's much more frantic real time aspect to it. I haven't done anything with egg timers and stuff like that isn't a frantic, oh my god, we haven't got enough time to do what we want to do. So I've kind of restricted on that sense of the word.
Yeah, okay. I struggled to get 5, to be honest.
Okay.
I looked through quite a few. Just look for real time as a mechanic on Board Game Geek. But I looked through them, and I think I'd find most real time games are just too tense. It's like, it's too much frantic, as you say, moving around. I don't like that feeling that much. But I think there are some really good ones, so I'm quite happy with my list. But I would have struggled to do more than 5.
So I'd say mine aren't necessarily in the order of my favourite. As in, number 1 is my favourite real-time game. It is the best of my bunch for the real-time part of it. I've tried to circle in that sort of way.
Okay.
Off we go on to our number 5s.
Marvellous. It's number 5.
Okay, so onto my number 5. So basically I struggled so much with this that I've split my 5 into categories, because there are certain types of... Yeah, you'll see later when I get to my number 3 why I did this. But basically, I've gone for my my favourite filler that's real time, and that is Ghost Splits. Ghost Splits is a game. It's effectively you can play with children. It's very cute and artsy. But basically, you get a card, and on the card there's some things, and basically you've got a white ghost and a red chair and a blue book and a green bottle and what's the other one? A grey mouse. And on this picture, there might be one of those objects. There might be a ghost holding a book, but if the book's blue, that's what you need to grab. And the first person to grab the book gets the point. And that's great, and that's really easy, and it's kind of a reaction game. But the converse to that is that sometimes a card come out where the ghost is red, sitting on a blue chair, which means you need to grab the one item that isn't depicted at all. Well, there was no mouse and there was no grey, you have to grab the grey mouse. And that just throws that game for me. People kind of think it's really easy when you show them all the ones where things are there, but when it changes around to when they aren't there, people go, ah, and it's against the clock. Effectively, you're trying to compete with other people to grab them first, and therein lies the fun.
It is super light, and it's a great game to play with family or with kids, or you're just introducing people to the game, you want a quick filler. And it does work really well, certainly. And it does give you that kind of, they're going to be me, what is the symbol? And because it keeps mixing the colours and the symbols, it's like,
It's the errors. It's when somebody goes, I can't see that, grab it. Except there is.
and sometimes two people grab two different things, and they're both wrong, and they're both looking at them and go, well, you're wrong. And they go, well, you're wrong. And then the one person who isn't grabbing anything, oh, it's this one, isn't it? And then you get points for the people when you make the error, so you can swing things quite drastically.
All right. My number 5 is a game that's very polarising. Some people love it, and some people hate it. And this is Ricochet Robots. It's strange because there's no clock involved. Effectively, you're racing against the other people. But it's a very peaceful game and yet sort of frenetic at the same time, because you have a puzzle essentially that's laid out on the board. You have to move these little robots. They can only go in straight lines and they kind of bounce off walls and each other and things. And you're just trying to get a certain colour robot to a certain place on the board. So you flip it over and it says, okay, yellow to this position. And then you all just sort of sit there and think, how can I get the yellow to this position? And it's the fewest moves is what you're aiming for. So if you can work out a way, I can get it in 10 moves, you say 10. And then everyone else, at that point, you do start a timer, don't you? And everyone else has 30 seconds or something to try and beat your 10. But to start with, you're all just thinking, what's the fewest you can get it? If someone does it in fewer than 10 within the timer, then they would win. But you just sort of show it super quick, reveal the next one, and then you all think again, what's it going to be for this one? So I like the puzzle solving. It does, I think, have the criticism sometimes that it's not much of a game, more of an activity, but I really enjoy it.
There's a score. I think it's a game. If you can score it, it's a game. So.
I think it's a game. I'm on the not to like it side. I think I agree with what you've said previously, is that ultimately it kind of works like chess, as in if you're playing against people who are about your skill level or within a band,
that's true.
it's much more fun than these extreme edges. What Z-Man did do, I think it was like last year or the year before, on Facebook they were putting puzzles of them. That I enjoyed.
Weekly.
Because I was quite happy to sit down in there in time and just, got to do this number of moves. That I enjoyed more than... So I dislike the real-time bit almost, but I like the game.
Yeah, okay.
I think the one of the... I love this game, it's great, but one of the criticisms is that people don't like it, is that they're always introduced to people who love it. Well, if you join Jonathan and I for a game, we've never played it before, and we go, 6... And you go, what? And you spend the whole game kind of confused at what's happening. You might struggle to actually come back to the game later and actually get better at it and learn the fact that you will love it.
I don't think there's a sharp learning curve, but you do very much get better with practice. And the more you play it, the faster you're able to get the robots to the appropriate pieces. They're like clever moves you can do and things. But if you play with a bunch of people who've never played before, you'll all get it straight away. So yeah, but you do just have to avoid that disparity.
Okay. My number 5 is similar to you. I've got this was my one that is my drawing game. But it isn't the one you think it's going to be. It's Pictomania, because I think that's more time intensive than the other obvious one if that appears. You're drawing, but everybody's drawing a different thing at the same time off a list. And so you're both guessing in real time and drawing in real time. And the pressure of that in real time, let alone as you go to the more difficult end of the list and you start getting abstract concepts that you've got to draw, it's just like that makes the pressure and the time, and you're looking, doing that, and so many things all in real time. You're kind of balancing this.
You're
really
doing
hard.
one more thing than you feel comfortable doing. Effectively, you're looking at different things, and not only that, you can't just say, "Oh, banana." You have to go, "That's a banana. Which card's a banana? Which card in my hand do I need to do banana?" Also, whilst drawing your own and trying to get people to guess yours. Because if people don't guess yours, you don't get you lose points for people not getting it right.
Yeah. There's that whole tension between, if you play Pictionary or something like that, you want to do a really good drawing so people guess it. But there's like you're racing, so you do want a good drawing, but you don't want to spend too long on the drawing or you just lose out because everyone else is guessing all the other ones. So that tension works really well, I think.
Well, I never. It's number 4.
Alright, so my number 4 is one of the first real-time games I ever played. Certainly where a game you weren't expecting to be real-time included it, and this is Galaxy Trucker. It's very different from most of the other real-time games I've played, and essentially you're trying to, in the first half of the game, build a ship. So you have a massive pile of different parts for your ships. You have engines and weapons and batteries and things, and you're frantically, along with everyone else, trying to grab pieces out of the middle and fit them into your ship. They can only legally be placed in certain positions. There are different kinds of connectors, so if you've got a 2 connector and a 1, they don't match up. You need to make sure they match up in the right way. And it's really quite difficult at first. Again, it really rewards practice. But you're frantically trying to build a ship as best you can until the time runs out. And then the second half of the game, you sort of take your ship flying through the galaxy, and all these cards reveal different events happen. So you might hit some asteroids or get attacked by pirates. And you'll find different bits of your ship start getting broken and falling off as they get shot by pirates or get crashed into by asteroids. Sections of the ship sort of fall away, and it's like, I've lost this and I've lost this. Ultimately, you're trying to pick up cargo from planets and transport them to the end of your journey where you get points for them. But to be honest, I don't know anyone really worries about the points in this game. You just try and build a ship that can survive. If you can manage to get to the end, it's like, yes, I made it to the end. So it's one of those that you either love it or you hate it, I think. But I just have a blast with this. You can't take it too seriously. But as long as you go into it with the right spirit, I think it's great fun.
You get the full range of emotions with this. You're like, and then you finish it and you go, okay, here we go. No, and you get all this stuff. And you laugh at yourself, you laugh at other people, and it's not really a game where you can take yourself too serious. Otherwise, you won't enjoy it to the full extent that it deserves to be.
Yeah, because you have to accept that chances are you may make one of the trips, and you have to accept it's all going to go wrong. But it's going to go wrong for everybody, and you have to be able to deal with the fact that it's just at the times it is just going to go wrong, and you just kind of go enjoy watching it go wrong for everyone else. It's fun. I find it incredibly fun, but I know people who just can't get along with that idea of things losing or things going badly or things fall on the ship. They just can't get that. Enjoy the concept.
I think it's the first game I played where you weren't just doing some activity separately and being timed, but you're actually competing with other people for an available set of resources in the middle. Like, because you might see, oh, there's a battery in there, I need it, and as you're going for it, someone else nicks it. It's like, no, that's the last battery. I really need a small battery to power my ship. The first time I played it, I was like, wow, I've never come across anything like this. It really is quite different.
And you build your ship, you think, oh, this is good, yeah, and that fits there, and you focus so much on not making a mistake. You think, right, yeah, filled it in. Oh, I've got no cargo slots. I'm not going to score any points, I'm going to get back first. I'm not going to pick anything up on the way.
Yeah. Okay, my number 4 is my line game of choice, and it's a game I've played in my office with my workmates because there were a large number of people and it was Christmas and it was fun. It was 2 Rooms and a Boom. Because we have separate meeting rooms which work perfectly. So, 2 Rooms and a Boom, there are some terrorist guys with a bomber, and there's the whatever country you want to be that's good, and a president. And the terrorists want the bomber to be in the same room at the end of the game, and this is done over several rounds, as the president, and vice versa. They don't want it to happen. There are multiple rounds per number of players, but essentially you have a hostage swap situation at the end of every round where one person goes to one room and they swap over, and that's the basic fundamentals of the rule. But then you go to, well, you can show people what you are. You can kind of half show them the colour of a light show. I'm definitely a terrorist, but I'm not showing my role. Show somebody your whole role. You can lie and say whatever you are. But there's other roles, and some of them are fairly complex, but even there's nice simple ones, like some who are spies, so they have the colour of the card that matches their, like the terrorist, for example, but they're really actually on the other guy's side, so they can half show. And there's loads of different combinations, but it worked really well with Strange in this office environment when I did it, because we had 2 separate meeting rooms. I threw people in, they had a few drinks, but they only had to understand their own role, and that was it, and what essentially their objective was. So it worked really well.
Yeah, and even if you've got perfect information, you know who everyone is, there's that very thing at the end of the game where you think, right, I know who everything is, the bomber's in the other room, I'm the president, it's coming to the hostage time. Are they going to send the bomber to us? Yeah. Or do we need to send the president to them to hopefully pass the bomber on the way back? And even if you your team's outed, you've still got that one last chance at the end to kind of swing it. So that's really nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think you do need to play it with people in the right frame of mind again. So again, you can't take it too seriously, and you need to be willing to give away a bit of information, I suppose. Yeah. I've played one game with this where people just kind of stood around. It's like, I don't want to give anything away. Well, I'm not saying anything, and okay. But if you're like, oh, I'll tell you something, you know, you might be lying and say, but you just need to get the conversation going. I think if people have had a couple of drinks, maybe it helps. But once people are relaxed and they enjoy it, it goes down very well.
There are so many roles in this game, so many, like 30 or 40 different roles, and that's really nice. It makes the game work well. So my number 4 is cooperative real-time games. Now I had a few to choose from, but I've chosen the most recent one that's come out, and that's Magic Maze. Magic Maze is a game where you're all panicking, you're trying to get your adventurers in a mall to get their equipment and then get out of the mall. So effectively you're robbing, your barbarians trying to find the axe, rob it and leg it, which is a really weird theme. But the key to this is you can't talk. And the other key to this is you can only move the people in one direction, generally. So I can maybe only move them left. And I'm like, Jonathan, you need to move that guy up so I can move this guy left. But I can't say anything. And you've got the tappy pawn of doom. So basically there's like an action pawn where you can take it and tap it in front of someone else to say, you've got to do something. And they'll put it back to you saying, no, tap it here, tap it there. And it makes for a really great experience. And you can, there's like 20 levels.
Yeah, with the expansion as well, there's loads of different scenarios you can play.
So you can make it as easy as hard as you want. And it's tense. It's really tense the whole time. You go, and the timer's running down. If the time runs out, you lose, and you've got to get to there to reset the timer. But you can't tell anyone that. You've just got to tap the pawn, and the person who needs to get them there might not be aware of it, and then you lose.
It's another one of those games that after I played it, I was like, wow, that's revolutionary. I've never seen anything like that, because every other game you play where you have a character is like, okay, I'm the dwarf or you're the elf or whatever it is, but this, no one's any of the characters. You just have a direction. I can move all the characters to the right or whatever it is. But then as you play in the harder levels, when certain events trigger in the board, you have to pass all your rolls clockwise. So you've been used to moving them right, and now suddenly you're moving them all down.
And the escalator.
Oh yes, that's right. So it really messes with your head. You think you've just about got the hang of it, and then they up the ante. You go to the next level, and it's like, I don't understand anymore.
One person can't see everything that needs doing. You need the cooperative nature of it, and you need this pawn to say, oh, I see someone needs to do something. I can't do it, so I need to tap the person who needs to do. And they've got to try and work out, given they can only do one thing, given they can only move them right, they've got to try and work out, what is this guy tapping me to do? It must be move one of the 4 pawns, right? Which one is it and why?
You'd think, because there are only 4 pawns that you can move, when someone taps you, you should be able to quickly see, oh yes, I need to move this one. But so often, you'll see someone, and it certainly happened to me, they're tapping you and you're like, I can't see it.
What if you move the wrong one, which is worse?
Oh, yeah,
And somebody moves it back, and then you move it, everyone goes,
Oh no.
and then somebody finally just goes, well, I've got the timer. But obviously they can't say anything, so they suddenly look at the timer and go,
It's great.
nice progression as well in the scenarios.
Yes.
I think that made it.
And if you come back to it with people who played before, you can start on 6 or 7 or whatever you think the difficulty is. It's very good.
Extraordinary. It's number 3.
So this one for me is a very high pressure dice sort of selection game called Fuse, which is done to an incredibly tense time wrap. Essentially the scenario is you're on a spaceship, there's bombs on the spaceship, and you've got to defuse them. So each player will have 2 cards, and the current player will grab a handful of dice, enough for every player, out of a bag, and then you've all got to select one, whether it's good for you or not. So if it's good for you, great, but if it's not, say if you imagine you pulled out of the bag and it was a red 3, then everybody must either get rid of a red or a 3 if they can do.
That's if you can't take
Yeah,
it.
if you can't take, if you can't use it. So I mean, some cards are nice and simple. You just might need, say, 2 matching numbers or 2 matching colours. But there are a lot more difficult cards. They've all got difficult numbers on. So some might be a tower. So you might need, say, 5 dice on it, and they must always be in ascending order. Well, that's fine if you can start on a 1, but if you start on a 2,
You're very restricted.
you're going to struggle. And so that increases the chance of that you're not going to be able to take a dice that comes out unless you've got a nice easy card to go with it. And then it all slowly unravels and you have just the pressure of, do I take the dice straight away? Do I wait for somebody else to grab it? And it's just really tense.
Yeah, it was very good. There was a close between this and Magic Mouse for me for the cooperative side of it. And the cooperative nature is very good. You can be very... I'm really restricted in what I can take, so you can be shouting out, I need a black dice or a 5. Or you can be kind of like, yeah, I've got 2 fresh bombs here, I can put kind of whatever I want on them, and when the dice are rolled, you can say, yeah, I can take any of those. And that's fine. As soon as someone knows you can take any, they can be greedy and take the ones they actually need. Because if you get to that point where you think, oh, I can take any, I'll take this, and why not? And someone else needed it, you're going to mess everyone else up when someone can't take one of the dice, and people are going to lose things.
Yeah, the cooperative nature is not immediately apparent, I think, when you first play this, because you get these little cards, everyone has their own separate cards, like, oh, I need this number. Oh, there's that number, I'll take it. And then you realise the guy next to you is like, I can't take anything, now I needed that number. It's like, oh, sorry, I could have taken this other one. So, yeah, you got to really communicate, don't you, before you start taking the dice.
But don't take too long.
That's right, because you're
If you're dithering, then...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very, very good, very, very well kind of balanced between speed and cooperative nature of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you take too many dice out of the bag, you have to put them all back and do it again. If you take too few out, you have to put them all back. And if you knock your tower over, when you're building the ascending ones, I think they go away as well. So you've got to be very careful. So my number 3, like I said at the start, I said I was trying to do this, and basically, real-time games. Well, there's Telestrations and there's Scrawl and there's Doodle Rush. I'm like, well, they're all drawing games. I can't put them all on my list. I think they're great games. So, like I said at the start, I've grouped games, and then I've picked the best of that said group. And we have a first crossover. My number 3 is Pictomania. For the reason that I really like Telestrations, it's very funny. Pictomania is much more of a game. I think it's much more stressful, and the frantic nature of it allows me to kind of, like I said earlier, to kind of trying to do 2 or even 3 things at once, matching numbers to cards to people's, whilst drawing yourself and trying to get people to guess your drawing so that people get points. It's just very nice.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. Guess we talked about it, haven't we?
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 we're on, aren't we? Is Captain Sonar, which is not timed in the sense that there's any kind of timer, but you're just competing against another team. So it's 2 teams, each team is controlling a submarine. You have a massive divider between the 2 of you, so you can't see each other's halves. The only real downside to this is you really want to have 8 people to play the game with. It plays best by far with 4 people on each side, because each team has 4 different roles. So you have the captain of the submarine, there's like a radio operator, and the sort of weapons guy. Essentially, you're flying, or not flying, you're, what do you call it, sailing? Driving?
Submerged, I don't know.
The submarine around underwater, trying to find the other submarine. You can send out sonar pulses and then blow them out of the water. It's an awful lot of fun, but it's surprisingly difficult in terms of the cooperation required between the different roles. So the captain says, okay, let's go north, and he has to check with the engineer that that's actually possible, because one of the strange things is that every time the ship moves, the submarine moves, then part of the ship becomes damaged. But it also at the same time charges up the weapon. So you want to move to get your weapons charged, but each time you move it restricts what you can do. So if you move too far in one direction, the engineer will be like, no, you can't go north anymore. No, please don't go north, whatever happens. So he's like, okay, we'll go east.
Otherwise, yeah, if you go in one direction too many times, you start to take damage yourself, and you've got like 5 hits.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But he says like go east, and he's like, but there's an island to the east. We can't go east. Well, we'll have to go west. No, and the weapon's like, no, I don't want to go west. So there's great amounts of cooperation, and then someone says stop, and it's like firing torpedoes, and the other team checks to see if it's hit. It's quite tense, but it's an awful lot of fun. I really love this one.
And if you're the radio operator, what you want your team to do is shut up. because you're listening for the other team and how they're moving, and you're trying to match the path. Well, if they've gone north, northeast, northeast, so that they can't be there. So they've got this like transparent grid over the map. But if this person's saying, I want to go north, and this person's saying, we can't go north, we need to go east, in your ears, and you're the radio operator, because you're the one that has to find their sub. It's no point having speedy submarines with perfect weapons if your guy doesn't know where their guy is. So it's very nice.
Yeah, I still really like the game. Doesn't get seen so much because I think it's the 8-player limit can make it tricky. I think I've had a few games fall flat as well, just whether it's quite a tricky game to initially teach. Even if you're trying to teach somebody one role, they kind of always have to be aware how their role affects everybody else. But with 8 people who've played before, it's great. But it can be a fragile system sometimes.
Yeah, I think I'm the one mark here. It just doesn't see play enough, given...
Yeah. That's true, and again, you just need the right people for it. Some people are not going to enjoy this game, and you don't want to play with them.
It takes a lot. You say at the end of the night, Jonathan say, I'd fancy Captain Sonar tonight, and you have to go around the room saying, can we get 8 for Captain Sonar? What are you doing afterwards? Are you going to go home? Do you want to play Captain Sonar? And most of the time we struggle, I think.
That's true.
Which is a shame.
My son loves it though. I played it with a family, and all the kids just were enamoured. They thought it was the best game ever. So if you've got enough in your family to play it, it goes really well in that situation, I think.
Spiffing. It's number 2.
So my category for number 2 is abstract. I could have picked Ricochet Robots, but I'm going for frantic. And so I've picked a game called Dimension. And Dimension is a game where you're stacking spheres into a pyramid with 11 spheres in. And you think, brilliant, yeah. But you've got to obey the rules. So the rules might say red and green ones can't touch, blacks have to be on the bottom, you can't have more than 2 orange spheres. And you're like, oh, all these rules, no, that doesn't work because that's not there. You're trying to get as many spheres in the pyramid as you can, trying to break as few rules as you can, but you're also trying to use all 5 colours to get the bonus chips. I've played this with quite a few people. It's very accessible. It feels like some of the abstract games like Ricochet Robots, you can introduce someone new to and they won't get any points. Here you will get points. You might not do as well as someone's played before, but it's quite good because you can build a pyramid. You can break all the rules, that's fine, and you just won't get as many points, but you can do what you want and you can choose which rules to break, and it's only played over 6 rounds, so it's quite quick too.
The spatial element's really nice, and it's quite unusual because there aren't many games where you're stacking balls. You know, balls don't naturally stack very well, but there's like little sort of grooves to hold the base balls, and then you start stacking all it. It reminds me of doing like sort of chemistry or physics GCSE, you know, when you're trying to combine the different...
I think you went to a different school than me.
I just remember the different patterns. They can only go together in certain ways, can't they? But it's really quite tricky at first. It's like, well, I've got to have the green with the black, but it can't be touching the blue. And it's so easy to miss one of these rules. You think, yeah, I've got it, I've done it. And then you sit back and go, hang on, no, I haven't done this rule. And
as you're taking it down, the timer stops. You're like, no, I had a better one before.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I've never played it.
Oh, really?
I know I've seen it plenty of times. I understand the basic. It seems quite cool, but I haven't ever actually...
It's always Steve that requests to play Dimension, I should say.
Very few people say no.
That's true. It does go down well. Yeah. All right, my number 2 is a game that's already been mentioned, and in terms of the co-op one, I was going to say it was the first game probably in terms of this real-time co-op that sprung to mind, and that's Magic Maze. Absolutely love it. I mean, we talked about it quite a bit already. but it's just so satisfying. Not just the actual game itself, but the levelling up system works so well. So you start on something that seems very straightforward. You only have one thing to do, and I see what we're doing. You have to move the pawns. But even then, you just about manage it. And the way it gradually keeps increasing the difficulty as you work through levels is just pitched so well. So by the end, there's all kinds of things going off and extra rules going on. And there really is, as you said, there's just too much for any one person to be able to quarterback it, if you like, which means it's great as a co-op game. Not because the game's artificially preventing that kind of alpha gamer syndrome, but there's just too much for any one person to take account of. You've got to work together, and it just works so well.
So my number 2, I've not played quite a while, so bear with me on this one, but it's a real-time worker placement game. And it's got a little bit of negotiation. It's a very unique thing. It's called Time and Space. I really would love them to release a second edition of it.
Don't think I've played it.
So essentially, you're a trader, your other guys are traders, and you've got 2 timers, and you can use those timers whether you're for generating goods, but they are for moving a spaceship, moving around the board so you can deliver to one of the other players because they've got requirements. What if somebody gets there before you? Well, you've just built something they don't require anymore. You need to, and you're doing lots of various different things. It's set to a specific time frame. There's like a 12-minute easy version and a 30-minute more difficult version. But yeah, it's just general goods building, increasing your tech so you can do things better. But it's all based on everything else. You have 2 timers. They're minute timers. Right. So what you can't do another thing until that's time through.
Okay.
It's cool, unique. I really enjoy it. It needs a second edition though, because sadly, in almost all versions, none of those minute timers count up to a minute, and that doesn't work in a competitive real-time game. But fundamentally, I really enjoyed playing it. We had to get loads of timers when I played it, and try and get the ones that were all within 1 or 2 seconds of each other, which was good enough.
So at the end, I'll mention a game with timers that I actually want to play. But I love the idea of that kind of your options are timers, but when they run out, you can then do something else.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of that one. We'll perhaps talk about it later. Yeah. But do you know how old it is?
Oh, it's 5-6 years old. I don't think it'll ever see a second year. I don't think it'll see a second edition. It was never huge, but I've played it a few times. I really enjoyed it. It's just the problem was the timers didn't.
Okay.
And it's just different.
By Jove, it's number 1.
So on to our number 1s. We haven't got Between Two Cities with us, so I've just thought of something in my head as to what we're going to do, and that's going to be alphabetical last thing you ate. So whoever goes first is going first. Last thing I ate were crumpets.
I had fish and chips for dinner.
Steak and ale pie.
So it's myself, Jonathan, and Mark.
Yeah.
All right.
So my last category is the first game that came to my head, and I struggled to give it a category. I've gone with thematic, but that was Jonathan's Galaxy Trucker. Galaxy Trucker was the first proper full-length game with victory conditions and stuff like that had a real-time element to me that I played. And the fact is, it's just got everything you need. The range of emotions I go through playing that game, even if I come dead last, are great. And just like even the humour inside it when things go wrong, are brilliant. I've talked about it a lot when Jonathan said it. I just wanted to join in, but yeah, I've said it all really.
It is quite strange because it's a heavy game in some ways. There's quite a lot going on, and like a sort of Euro game, resource management, and yet the real time just changes everything, and it stops being competitive in a sense. I mean, you are competing, but you don't care. You can't go into the game really caring about how well you do because it will just go horribly wrong. And that's so unusual.
But if everyone wanted to build a really good ship, you could all take your time and flip it over. Apart from that, go over there's going too fast. Oh no, speed up!
We can look at the cards. You can see what's coming up.
You can see what's coming up.
But only the best players do, though.
But so it's very good.
All right, so my number 1 never occurred to me when I was first making my list, but I went to Board Game Geek and looked at the list. And this came up under the real-time category, and I thought, actually, that is a real-time game. And this is Unlock, one of the Escape the Room games. Because the app times you. You've got a certain amount of time to get out with. And if you don't manage to get out in time, you lose effectively. So it's cooperative. You have these different cards that represent locations and the various items that come out. And there's a certain amount of trying to spot things on the cards, like those old PC kind of point and click events. Just like, oh, I wonder if this does something. You're combining different items together. What happens if I combine the spanner with the flame or something, and you see what happens. And I just really like it. It takes me back to playing those kind of games as a kid. A fantastic experience, but it is, again, there's that tension of, are we going to manage to do it in time? You're sort of trying to go as quick as you can, but if you go too quickly, you can miss things. You know, we played one of the ones where you're underwater, and we missed a couple of things, and we didn't do very well as a result. And I think partly that's because we were just going too quick, but there is that whole tension the whole time. You've got to spot things, but you've also got to be quick.
I like it. It's just like I said, I had so many games to pick from that I think, right, I'm just going to go down that. I want something frantic, and that's a leisurely stroll compared to some of these other games.
Yeah,
but I think it's a fantastic game. If you haven't tried one, you should do it.
Yeah, I kind of feel with it, I care about the time when there's 5 minutes to go. Before that, I'm trying to do the puzzles are far more the game for me.
I've always got my eye on the clock in that game for some reason. It always
it affects you more than anyone else I play with, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Matt likes to do it because he wants to win quickest.
Yeah.
You just are bothered if you've got out or not.
Yes.
Me, I'm like, well, I just want to do it. If we get out in time, yeah, fine. But if we don't, I'm still going to finish the mission. So
that's true.
The puzzles are the bit to enjoy that, not the time aspect.
I'm with Mark on this, and the puzzles are great.
Yeah, they are fantastic.
Okay, and my number one, as I like the negotiation games, is a negotiation game, through and through, and it's Panic on Wall Street.
Oh.
I almost mentioned that for your last one. Yeah, you like your negotiation.
They say negotiation game.
I didn't say it could be your number one.
So, definitely going to play the odd numbers of players because it works better to have unbalanced teams, because there are two teams: people who manage shares and some people who want to buy it, and people want to buy them.
Yeah.
And that's, and you have 2 minute, is it 5 2-minute sections of that?
Yeah,
essentially, there's stuff to adjust the market, but the real thing is that 2 minutes of frantic, almost like you see in the films. Do you want this? Do you want that? Yeah. I've got some shares for you. Got some shares for you.
Yeah. Four people are trying to sell to 3 people,
Yeah.
and there's a limit of. Oh no! Please buy it. Please don't. If you buy it for me, I'll give you something next round for cheaper and something. Again, it's frantic. I thought about it.
Easy to play, easy to teach, because it's not true, but it is entirely real-time negotiation.
It's nice because it's got the dry wipe sort of eraser board, so you're actually writing things, and then you can put them out.
Yeah, if someone makes you a promise, you go, okay, yeah, I'll take that, put that down, and then later you go, no, I want to take a different offer, so you can kind of you can see who's winning certain shares at certain points, and you think, well, do I dare undercut that? Yeah, I'll undercut that and pass it over to someone else. It's very good.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yep.
So I have loads, but were there any you missed out?
So the one honourable mention which I didn't put on my list, and the only reason for this is because I've played a prototype, but I haven't actually played it since it's been released, and that's Kitchen Rush, which follows the same mechanic that Mark was talking about earlier, where you have sand timers and these are your workers. So effectively you're just trying to manage a kitchen, you're trying to get the food out of the fridge and then cook it and chop it and put it in the right things to serve up different meals in a restaurant. But it's great the way, as you say, the whole sand timer mechanic works. You put it down and you can't do anything with it until the sand timers run out, and then that worker's achieved what they've done and you can put it somewhere else. So you've got several of these, but it was so much fun. Really enjoyed it.
So I have the opposite one when he was talking about sand timers. I've got one where as soon as the sand timer runs out, you can't move it anymore.
Oh, okay.
And that is one of the GIF series games that got discontinued. It was called Tamsk, and I haven't played it because it's so expensive. They've not printed it for 15 years or something.
Okay.
And basically, you've got the pieces on the board, and it's real time. And you're like, well, I can move this there. When you move it, you turn it upside down. So sometimes you're like, if I don't move that now, I'm going to lose it.
Okay.
But if I move it now, I'm going to loads of time, but I might not want to move it now. And I haven't played it. I don't quite know what the rules are, but it's a game I really wanted to play. And if I liked it, I imagine this will be on this list somewhere.
Okay.
But sometimes have issues, I think, in games, especially if they're not equal, or if some of them start getting blocks. Well, you can't. These timers aren't a minute. I think they're a bit longer than 2 or 3 minutes. And if 1 or 2 of them start getting blocked, well, the game can't be done, can it?
Yeah.
Especially in here, the One Night Ultimate Series.
That was it. I was going to do a social deduction section, and I thought it just wasn't fantastic enough. There's a few. Sheriff of Nottingham has a 4 minute.
It follows the app, doesn't it? It doesn't feel real time in the sense that you're not really competing with anything. You're just following through all the roles.
Yeah, and it's 5 minutes. Yeah, we have to vote now. But it is real time. It definitely is to some extent real time. So for each category, I had the second pick. So for my picture one, I had Telestrations.
Yeah.
For my filler ones, I had Anomia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
which is sort of real time. It's like verbal snap, but you have to be on it all the time. If you switch off in any of these games that I've picked, you kind of you can either let the team down for cooperative, or you're just going to get beaten. And I had Set for my abstract game.
Ah, yes.
Set is a.
It's similar to Ricochet Robots, isn't it? In that you're all just sitting there thinking until one of you spots the solution to the puzzle, effectively.
Yeah, and if you switch off, people are going to scope on, whatever, switched off. You switch off from Ricochet Robots, you're not going to get it. And then I had Captain Sona as my, instead of Galaxy Trucker, for my thematic game, because it does feel like you are a team running this engine, and you can't do certain things unless your team's pulling together.
Yeah, well.
I think
I think we've basically covered.
Okay.
So anyway, that's been us at the table. That's our top 5 real-time games. Thanks for watching.
Bye.